WWE Saturday Night's main event going down from Atlanta, part of a trio of events that WWE tried to use to counter-program AEW's All In. And all I will say is I should not have watched this after All In. It was not even close to anything that AEW had going on. The buzz, the match quality, any of it. And I understand that this was a network special compared to their WrestleMania, but it was quite the contrast. We will say that going into this one. Randy Orton against Drew McIntyre, a pretty fun match. Both these guys they're so good at what they do. Not wild and crazy or anything, but it wasn't supposed to be. This was about getting a couple of your stars on NBC with some mainstream talent and setting up things for SummerSlam. It was merely a vessel to get to Logan Paul and Jelly Roll and set up the SummerSlam match. And since that has happened, we have had a lot on Jimmy Kimmel's show and all of those things. But I do understand people's frustration. I don't have as much of a deal with this one. It is a 2-night show. It will be one match. It'll be all right. We still get a lot of Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre on our television. It's going to be fine. Again, I understand that there is going to be a little bit of, okay, we get it, celebrity involvement again. But I do think that having that sometimes does help bring those mainstream eyeballs in, and I do think that Randy and Drew getting this kind of spotlight works very well for them. So, like I said before, I was hoping this would be a long feud. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but I think it's still going to be a pretty effective use of both of these talents. Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa for the United States Championship. And again, this match was mainly about the post-match. The match itself was fine. You get Jimmy into a title match, made Solo look pretty dominant again. Tala uses his height to get the pinfall in what was a pretty creative finish, I thought. That would be replicated a couple of nights later, but after the fact, again, like I said, it's all about the aftermatch, or the post-match stuff, where there's the beatdown and Jacob Fatu comes out. I thought this was going to be a time where you would use this to introduce someone else to help out Jacob Fatu on his side. Instead, it just made Jacob Fatu look like a beast as he came out and just ran over everybody on the MFT side. So anytime we get Jacob Fatu looking like a beast, I will absolutely sign up for that one. Every time he is out there, he comes across like an absolute superstar. Seth Rollins against LA Knight. Obviously, the story here is Seth's injury. This has been hotly debated. Sean Ross Sapp saying that this is a legitimate injury. John Pollock from Post Wrestling saying that he was told on Thursday to watch out for an injury angle. Some people are saying that the reason that you would go down that route is, well, he was already injured and they just did something here. He didn't look like it was affecting him all that much in the match. And all the stuff coming out after where they're being very vague about these things is kind of leading you to believe that maybe it is a bit more of an angle. And so look, they got me on that. I will fully admit I didn't see the angle part coming in all of this. If he is actually hurt, it is a gigantic blow to some of the plans that they have had. It does allow them to put more of a spotlight on Braun Breaker, and even if Seth's injury is legitimate, it allows them to put the spotlight on Braun Breaker a little bit more. I thought on Raw, we'll talk about Raw in a little bit here. I thought it was interesting that you keep the Money in the Bank briefcase in sight, I guess. A lot of times, if they want to go for the surprise, they just take everything away so that you don't even have the foggiest of clues that something like that could be happening. But a lot of debate over whether this was a work or not. And I thought LA Knight with a great promo, even during commercial break on Monday Night Raw, saying, like, I wanted to hurt you and you hurt yourself. So don't love that. Then we get to the main event, and it was Gunther against Goldberg for the World Heavyweight Championship. There has been a lot of discussion coming out of this show and out of this match specifically on the Goldberg side. I thought it's what it needed to be. They got the crowd to bite on a near fall. In the end, Gunther gets the win. Goldberg gets to do the honors on the way out. Goldberg was obviously limited in this match, but I thought for what he could do, they played it up very, very well. You get a spear, it's Charles Robinson, but you get some of the basics of what you wanted out of this match. It is unfortunate that the post-match gets cut off because of one last commercial break. That is a little bit unfortunate, but I do think that this basically went as well as you could expect. And Goldberg has come out after and said, I did 3 promos in 6 months. Like, what are we doing here? I get that part of it. And I do think that there could have been maybe a bit more Goldberg involvement in this. I thought what they did, we talked about it on the show. I thought what they did was great. I really liked the promos of Goldberg saying that he just wants to kill this guy, and Gunther saying that he's going to destroy the legacy of the man that used to be Goldberg. I actually thought they built this up pretty well. And then on the night, talking about what you talking about like honoring the legacy or anything like that. I thought like they played a bunch of clips from Goldberg throughout the night. Like this was the Goldberg retirement night. I thought was the main story of all of it. So I'm not him. I didn't get the disrespect part of it. Like he's limping his way down to the ring. You can't have him limp his way down to the ring for 8 months or for 6 months or whatever to build this thing up. It's not going to work. And Goldberg has always kind of been a character where less is more. So I don't see the issue with it. I don't think they could have gotten any more out of the match. The build, if you wanted him to be live a little bit more, I mean, sure, but the entrance isn't the same. He is limping his way down. Maybe you could do a couple of like heated up matches or anything like that, but then you're kind of taken away from the spectacle of Goldberg. Like that this was all built up to what he could do. And it seemed like they got the most out of what he could do. So it's unfortunate that he feels that way. A lot of guys feel like their retirement match wasn't perfect, and that's why Ric Flair has had like 8 of them, and Terry Funk had 15. Like there's always going to be that thing. And so hopefully in the weeks and months to come, Goldberg recognizes that maybe this was the best that they could do. I genuinely, and I'm a Goldberg fan, right? Like I grew up in the time with Who's Next. I have that on a shirt here still somewhere. I loved that guy as a fan. I didn't feel like this disrespected the legacy of him or anything like that. I thought we saw what we needed to see, and anything more would have been bordering on too much, given the physical limitations of a guy who, by all rights, should be physically limited at this point in his life, given what he has given to us in the pro wrestling world. So I was disappointed to see that he was upset about it, because I thought they got the most out of it that they possibly could. And you kind of can say that for this show in general. Like it was, you do push a couple of storylines forward. You get to have Goldberg get his one big spot. But if they wanted to steal the headlines from AEW, if they did, it was in a negative way. And every wrestling fan was talking about All In. All the wrestling buzz was about that particular show. So I don't think this accomplished what it needed to in the slightest for WWE on Saturday night's main event. As I mentioned before, everything is always changing around Couch Potato Diary, so make sure you follow me on social media. I am at Primetime Klein on X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, and all of those other places.